Hello, and welcome back to part two of this series. So, today we'll talk about what the main method is and how to write it, and then we'll go ahead and write some very basic code. So, here we are from last time's lesson on this text file, but we can't really write any code in a text file. So, we'll go and actually create a brand new file, like Java file. So, we'll go here, click this project tab, go back to our SRC folder, and then right click on it, just like last time, and go over here to new. However, instead of making just a new file, we're gonna go and make a new Java class, which is this hexagon with a little flap. So we'll click this and we'll just name it, we can just name it Hello World, since that's what we'll be printing by the end of this lesson. So I'll hit enter and I'll create that file. Give it a second, and here we are, we created it. And then I'll go ahead and just click out of this tab so we have a full workspace here. So first, let's just talk about what happened here when we created this file. So when we created this file, we named it Hello World, and as you can see, this Hello World is printed over here again. So this is something that you can decide. If you can name the file dog and it will be public class dog. You could name it anything else you want. That's completely up to you as the coder. However, these two parts will automatically be added by IntelliJ, and it's required by Java. So public is the access modifier, which basically means can other files and in this program or in another program access this file. And since it's public, it basically means yes, other files, other variables, anything else can access this document. And class is just basically it's just saying like, hey, this is a class. This isn't a variable. This isn't a method. This is a class. And like we talked about over here, class is like your entire paper. So this will be these two curly braces will contain all of your code. So it's like the top piece of the bread and the bottom bread. And in between, we'll add all of our different pieces. So we'll go ahead and click into the curly braces and hit enter. So one thing about Java is that you can type with weird spaces. I can start typing the main method right here and there won't be an issue as long as I do it correctly. However, that looks ugly and you should just refrain from that. You want to make your code look nice so that it's readable even later on. Let's say you use it 1, 2, maybe 3 weeks down the line. You want to be able to read your code and basically see, hey, I understand what's going on here. So we'll go ahead and start writing our main method, and I'll first write it. I'll explain what it is after it's written, and then I'll explain what each of the different components are. So first, we have to have our access modifier, which again, in this case, is public. Everything that we'll be doing for now will have an access modifier that's public. You can, however, have something that's called private, and you can have something that's called protected. However, these two are something that come later on. So for now, we'll just go ahead and use public. We'll write public, then we'll write static. Static basically means that this method will only be used for this class, meaning we won't be having other files or other classes trying to access this method. So static basically means we'll just be joined to this file alone. Public static void. So void is a return type over here. And return types basically mean like, what is the method returning? So in this case, the main method never returns anything. So since it doesn't return anything, the word or the code word for Java is void. So public static void and then main. So main basically says, hey, this is the main method, and this method comes first. Main, and then in parentheses you write string, and remember we write string with a capital S, not a lowercase s. Then you write these boxy braces over here, and you'll see that my cursor is in between the two braces. And I don't want to write anything in between, so I'll just arrow over to get out of the braces, and then I'll write ARGS. ARGS stands for arguments, and currently those words are white. So in Java and in basically any other language, white does not always mean good. In this case, white is just saying like, hey, I don't recognize what this is. And then the way to make sure that Java does recognize is by adding your final set of curly braces. Once I add the curly braces, you can see that ARGS has become orange. String has been blue since it recognizes string. If I were to replace this with a lowercase s, it would turn red. My main method would, instead of being green, it would turn this grayish color, and so would ARGS. Neither nor is it italicized anymore, so I'll go ahead and replace that with a capital S, and there we are. And main is green. So for my color scheme right here, main basically means that this is the main method, but green, the reason why main is written in green is that methods are written in green according to my color scheme, and so that's why it automatically turned green since it recognized, hey, this is the main method. Now, the reason why I added another set of curly braces is, again, if you go back here, we'll see that the method is like a single paragraph within our entire paper. However, that single paragraph has a specific job, and so in this case, our single paragraph is the main method. This main method has a specific task or case to do, and all of that code will be kept between these two curly braces. So currently we have two sets of curly braces. We have the set for the actual class, which will contain everything, including multiple different methods. And then we have this set of curly braces that will only contain the code and ideas for our main method. So I'll go ahead and I'll comment at the very bottom or the last curly brace in each set. And the way that we comment is by doing a double slash. So if I simply write one slash, Java is going to yell at me and saying, hey, I don't understand what this code is. I have the little red squiggly line. I have the red bar over here. And I have the exclamation point that is yelling at me. However, if I add another one, suddenly everything is good. The code has a check mark. It's saying, hey, this is fine so far. So double slash, and then you can write whatever you want in whatever fashion. However, the code only stays for this line. This is just a line code. So if I write, for example, end of the main method, I understand that this curly brace should be the end of the main method. However, if I hit enter and then I start writing, this is a blank line, it'll give me a bunch of errors saying, hey, I don't understand, this is not code. So I'll go to the very beginning of this line and I'll just hit another slash slash, and boom, it's fine now. So slash slash, so a double slash basically means that it is a line comment and it will only extend for this entire line. That being said, however, we can extend this line for as long as we want. However, it would really be a pain in the butt to keep scrolling over to just read a line comment. So I just suggest that you make a bunch of line comments like this, and that might be easier for you to read and easier to access. So anyway, this curly brace is the end of the main method. This one will be the end of the class hello world. So now that we've written the main method, let's go back and talk about what the actual main method is. So the main method is the first method that you'll write, and it is the first method that Java will run. So again, a class can have as many methods as, like as many methods as the person who's coding wants. So I could add 1,000 different more methods. However, the first one that will run will be the main method. And there's no way to really change that right now. So we'll just run with that. The main method will be the first method to run. So the reason why that's useful is so that you can understand how the methods are linked, because within the main method, you can call a different method. which can later on call a different method. And it'll create this kind of linked path in which you don't have to manually call any other method. You just have to run the file. So the main method is the first method that will be run, and this method is arguably the most important one, because if you mess up your main method and you write every other method perfectly, none of the other methods will run, because the main method is most likely the one that's calling the other ones. So let's go ahead and write something within our main method so we know that the method works and the class works, and overall this file is fine. Because Java so far is telling me, hey, the file is fine over here, but let's just go check that out. We'll go here and we'll write just a simple code. We'll print out hello world. So we'll write system.out.println, and then currently it says println. I don't recognize what that is. However, if I put these parentheses here, it suddenly recognizes, hey, this is a method. And then I'll go into these braces, parentheses, and I'll put quotes. So if you recall from our last lesson, when something is in quotes, is regarded as a string. So here I could write 2 and it'll still be seen as a string, not an int. So here I'll just write hello world, and then I should be done, right? Wrong. Java is still yelling at me right here, and the reason being it's expecting a semicolon. And I can go over here and see, and hey, yeah, I'm still expecting a semicolon. So if I go over here and I just place that semicolon, everything's fine, args is fine, and I am having no errors. So before I run the code, let me just run through what this means. So system.out is basically, it's saying that we will be printing this out to the user. That level goes, this section goes into a deeper train of thought regarding Java. But for now, we'll just run with the idea that this basically means that it's going out to the user. The main thing that we're looking at is right here, println. So if you've made the connection, both main and println are both green. And as I said before, things that are green are seen as methods. But you'll be wondering, hey, we never wrote this method called println. So how come Java is saying, oh yeah, I know that, I know how to work with that method? The reason being, this method right here, println, is already embedded within Java. So it's not something that you have to write manually, since Java already understands that, hey, this is a method that's already been written and it's already in my source code. So we don't need to do anything else with println. And again, this is just a string, and it will just print out hello world. However, the reason why we have this ln over here, because we can understand that print basically means, hey, this is just going to print out to the user. The ln part means that there will be a fresh line after hello world. And in order to check this, we can write another print statement right here, system.out.println, and we can just write, let's just write the number 2. And I'll go over here and I'll put my semicolon, and then let's run this class. I'll run and it'll build down here, and once it's built, it will give me a little terminal over here that in theory should say both hello world and the number 2. However, 2 should be on a separate line than hello world. And if we see right here, wonderful, we have hello world, then we have a brand new line, and then we have the number 2. Now this part over here, you can just completely ignore. Even though it's red, it's not giving us any errors, because you can see that the process finished with exit code 0, which means that nothing that we did nor nothing from the computer side messed up the code, and it ran perfectly fine. And so that's all for this video lecture. We just finished up how to write a main method, what the main method is, and then we jumped into some very elementary code over here, running into print statements. Thank you.